Hello there, welcome back. The last MEXT Scholar vlog I did was when I went to Bulgaria for the summer vacation, and now I'm back to Kyoto, Japan, doing another one. As you might know if you watched my previous video, I left Japan on the 1st of July, hoping to be back by the end of August so I can sign my scholarship register and get the scholarship for the month of both July and August. Well, long story short, I did not get to sign the register in August because when I was preparing to fly back to Japan, I felt this tension in my throat that soon turned into a cough, and this was followed by a positive PCR test. So I had caught the coronavirus and I had to wait for 10 more days or so before coming back here, and they told me that they could make no exception based on COVID concerning me signing the register. Interestingly enough, as of now, you are no longer required to take a PCR test before coming to Japan. Actually, it was one of the countries to keep this requirement for the longest, I think. So since I arrived with my family, we've been looking for another apartment to rent, but I'm going to make a separate video about this. In terms of my studies and my scholar activity, well, let us just say that, remember when I made a video entitled "The Toughest Week So Far"? Well, I lied. This one was crazy since I came back to Japan. So first of all, there was this event called Summer Study Group, in which it was not mandatory to participate. It is organized by my lab at the university. The idea is you present a topic of your choice that's related to natural language processing, which is what the lab deals with. So I was wondering, should I do that, should I not? And I thought I had a whole 2 months in front of me, so I could take my time and study a particular topic. There was this book that I had bought months before that was called Statistical Universals of Language. I bought it because I audited a conference that takes place in Japan every year, and I overheard a presentation that mentioned this book, and I thought it was a very interesting topic, basically talking about language in mathematical terms, like what you discover about language when applying mathematical theorems. For instance, Zipf's law and derivatives of it. And all that without actually taking into consideration the meaning of language, like taking a step back from it in order to see how language is organized. So if it wasn't for this study group, I wouldn't have taken the time to read this book attentively, and now I feel very familiar with it. So I definitely don't regret participating. Not many people participated. There were 8 presentations all in all. Mine was the last one. I think it went relatively well. That was the 6th and 7th of September. And yeah, following the presentation, people from the lab asked some really relevant questions that also made me think even more about the book and what it implies. However, when I went back home from this presentation in the evening of the 7th of September, I was not at all free to relax, because there was the second big event, the Conference of Computational Linguistics in Bulgaria. In Bulgaria, right? It is a Bulgarian conference that takes place every 2 years, and I actually participated 2 years ago, And I had been thinking about this conference all along, and I had kept it in mind while starting my studies here that I would like to prepare a paper and presentation for this conference. So my paper had been accepted and I had to prepare for the presentation, and I was about to present the next day, September 8th. The conference lasts 2 days, September 8th and 9th. My topic is filtering of a noisy parallel corpus from Japanese to Bulgarian. I'm not going to get into much detail, but I might leave a little part of a video of the conference. The conference was not meant to be online. However, it was really difficult to organize for me to stay in Bulgaria. One thing is I wouldn't have been able to get my scholarship for the month, which I didn't do anyway. But anyway, the administrative procedures would have been really hard, so they let me participate online. So I had to record a presentation on the evening of the 7th, and just to make sure that there is a recorded presentation that they can play if something happens with the connection, which was pretty realistic because the connection in my university accommodation is not perfect. So I recorded the presentation, like I quickly did the slides. I knew what I wanted to do, but I hadn't actually taken the time to prepare the slides. So I recorded the presentation. I feel like I was so tired at this point. I was really like just murmuring. I wasn't making sense. There was lots of pauses. It ended up being several minutes longer than it should have been. So I was a little stressed out about that. But I sent it on time. They checked my connection to make sure everything is fine and ready for the next day. And the next day, September 8th, I actually presented. The connection was good, so I managed to present in real time. And actually, I was presenting better than at the recording. I don't know what the exact reason is. Is it because I knew there were actual people listening to me? Or was it because I had, after all, relaxed a little the night before? But it went pretty well. It was faster and there were some questions. Also, I managed to follow a bit of the conference, ask some questions related to other presentations. Although sadly it is so hard to focus when you have to think about your own presentation. That's why I kind of like auditing conferences without participating. But I'm going to take the time and listen to what I didn't properly listen to while the conference was live. And then after the conference, which finished the 9th of September, was that all I had to do? No. So there was this other conference called Innovation in Language Learning that I also participated in 2 years ago. That was during the lockdown. It was a very pleasant presentation to take part in, and I wanted to participate again. I noticed just in the last moment that they were accepting abstracts. Obviously the topic is not exactly what I'm doing now as a researcher in Japan, like language learning, but I'm actually dealing with computational linguistics. However, I managed to come up with the topic that interests me, that is related to my research, but that is also about language teaching and language learning. So I had submitted an abstract about this topic, which is just very generally how machine translation affects studies, translation studies in particular, but also the studies of foreign languages by younger kids. And I related this to a trend in computational linguistics that basically reduces the the weight of language and linguistics at the expense of computing and mathematics. I also interviewed members of my lab at the university here, and I gained a lot of insight about how they perceive the relationship between language and linguistics on one side and then computing and mathematics on the other. So I had started writing this paper, but I had to submit it by the 10th of September, even though the conference actually will take place in November. So I did that too in the last moment, and it has been confirmed now, it has been accepted. Basically, the only exception to this kind of work on conferences and presentations since my arrival back in Japan has been a short trip to Kobe Animal Kingdom. I might put a couple of pictures here. My Gen Z of a son really wanted to see the capybaras because apparently they're trendy. I don't know how an animal can be trendy, but they're trendy. So he was very happy. I was very happy. It's always very relaxing to be around animals. Yeah, basically that was a quick update about life in Japan and my work as a MEXT scholar. There will be another one very soon. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Thank you. So I am originally from Bulgaria, and I am conducting research at the University of Kyoto, Japan. The title of the study I'm going to present is Filtering of Noisy Web Crawl Parallel Corpus, the Japanese to Bulgarian language pair. So this will be the overall content of my presentation. I will start with a brief background about the nature of web-crawled corpora, and I will go on to discuss relevant WMT shared tasks that have been conducted and that I'm going to use in order to select a model to apply in the study. Then I'm going to provide a pipeline overview to help guide through the process. I will talk a little about the implied corpus, the CC matrix web-crawled corpus in the language pair Japanese to Bulgarian. And then work with the corpus. We'll start with a pre-processing stage, followed by model selection, that is to say the selection of a particular state-of-the-art model that has been used previously to filter noisy corpora. The particular model that is going to be discussed is a classifier model. So the issuing experiments and results of the classifier model will be discussed, followed by an application to eventual translation model between the two languages, Japanese and Bulgarian.